We can do better than this. Madoka Magica Magia Exedra just released for free on mobile as of March 27th with a free Steam port releasing soon. Trademark. Upon just playing 20 minutes into the game, even as a relatively seasoned veteran of the gacha RPG genre, I had some questions. The tutorials and way that the information is presented to the player is obtuse, drawn out, and even somewhat misleading at times. Naturally, I looked up a guide and, as the intro suggested, they're all like 30 plus minutes of some dude screen recording on their phone completely unscripted and just rambling. That's not to say that they're necessarily bad guides, it's just that we can definitely do better. This inspired me to make a concise yet clear guide for any new players that would clear up misconceptions and confusions, regardless of your experience with previous gacha games. Chapters will be included in the video, so feel free to skip around to any sections that you may have specific questions about. Oh, and one more thing, the game's main campaign follows the original Madoka Magica story 1-to-1, and there will be background footage in this video, so it kinda goes without saying that a moderate spoiler warning is warranted. Trust me, you're not going to want to skip this one. Welcome to the Lighthouse. This is where you spend all of your time that isn't spent battling. There are a lot of menus in this game, and navigating through all of them by going back to the main page every time is honestly pretty slow, even on like a decently high-end phone. To skip a lot of the time in between menus, use this icon in the top right corner to view every possible menu item in the game, no matter which menu you're currently in. Right next to it are the rewards and tasks tabs. Tasks is simple. This includes your standard dailies, weeklies, and overall progression challenges. Rewards is the funnel that catches a lot of the rewards you've earned, and if you ever know you earned something but can't find it, usually just check here. The Magia box is a simple material accumulation chamber that slowly drip feeds materials to you, but it has a cap that increases with your player level. You can collect from it at any time for free, and you can get one of these skips for free daily. A skip gives you the equivalent of 6 hours worth of accumulated drip feed materials. Never waste any gems on the skips past the daily free one. The quest tab gets explained later. The party tab is where you get the option of assigning, training, or upgrading the heart files of your Kioku. What that means will be explained later. Union is unlocked about halfway through the main story, and it functions similarly to any other guild system in RPG games, although it's pretty limited in scope so far. Player matches are unlocked a bit earlier than Unions, and while it is PvP, it's not active online PvP that requires real-time strategy. It simply puts both teams on full auto mode, and from there, it's outside of your hands what happens. Winning grants you points, which gives you a rank that nobody frankly really cares about, but more importantly gives you tokens that can be spent at the trader for various rewards. Once unlocked, make sure you remember to do your 5 daily player battles every day, as losing has no penalties. Last but not least, the gallery is where you can view all of the various forms of art in the game, such as Kioku, music, portraits, and info for each magical girl, as well as their stories. Don't just look over this tab, because every single new piece of art you unlock, no matter what it is, gives you 10 gems just for looking at it one time, so it'll accumulate a heavy amount of gems by itself. During my playthrough of the tutorial, the first thing that confused me is the difference between magical girls and Kioku. The game never explains this difference super clearly, and to summarize this entire chapter, magical girls don't say unit anymore, they just say Kioku. In all seriousness, Kioku are your actual usable units in the game that you can insert into your party. The magical girls, i.e. Madoka, Homura, Mami, etc., are not Kioku. There are Kioku for each magical girl. Each magical girl may have more than one Kioku form. This is because Kioku are rated on a star system, and as of this current version of the game, that ranges from 3 to 5 stars. An easy example is a character like Karine, who is both a 4 and a 3-star Kioku. Different Kioku of the same girl may or may not have the same element and role. Roles and elements are super straightforward and follow the same principles as any other RPG game. You obtain Kioku mainly through gacha pulls, and the gacha system is mostly straightforward. There's no discount for pulling a 10 draw, each draw is 300 gems, and therefore 10 draws are also 3000 gems. The only semi-complicated mechanic is the pity system. Each pull gives 1 token, and you can spend 200 pity tokens to get a guaranteed Kioku of the featured banner character. Due to this, it's technically optimal to save up 60k gems to guarantee the Kioku that you want on the feature, but if you aren't willing to wait that long, there's nothing wrong with just pulling every time you get 3000 gems. Just know that the rates are pretty low for 5 stars, even for the featured Kioku. Let's now look at the features of the Kioku. Let's go back to 4-star Karine as an example. You have all the standards of an RPG: overall level, HP, attack, defense, and speed. Similar to a game like Honkai Star Rail, there's also an Ascension level. You may have noticed pretty early on that you can roll duplicates in the gacha. Rolling a duplicate will increase the Ascension level for each Kioku by 1. In addition to a 2% increase in health, defense, and attack, each Kioku also has a set bonus for reaching a certain Ascension level. There is also a magic level, and this is your replacement for a skill tree. It's a linear progression of stat boosts, with every few levels also increasing the level of your Kyoku's abilities. Both your character's overall level and magic level require special materials to increase. Well, technically you also gain XP for overall level just by playing missions with your Kyoku equipped, but honestly it's pretty negligible. If you click on the skills tab, provided that the Kyoku is 4 stars or higher, there is a special skill or ultimate attack that can be upgraded with its own special material. You may have noticed that the name of the Kyoku itself is the name of this special skill, and 3-star Kyokus are simply labeled as Blank's Kyoku. In this case, the 3 star is called Karin's Kyoku. Special attack levels are capped by the ascension level of the Kyoku itself. Lastly, if you go to the Heart Files tab in the party section, you can view each magical girl's Heart File level. Heart File level isn't some weird dating sim mechanic, it just provides minor benefits to stats as they are increased, but they're mostly there to unlock each girl's story and extra voice lines for them. It is still important, but it's substantially less important than something like level or magic level. In order to get materials for leveling, there's dedicated upgrade quests that use stamina to play. These are the only stages in the game that require stamina, so don't feel the need to be picky with your stamina usage. Each time that your player level increases, it gives you stamina back that can surpass the stamina cap. What this essentially means is that if leveling up increases your stamina cap to, let's say, 50, it'll add 50 stamina to what amount you already have. In the early game, when leveling up your player level is very quick, this results in an abundance of stamina that you should be using to actively gather your upgrade materials. Don't just sit and let your stamina stay over the cap, because if it's over the cap, you're not passively gaining any stamina back over time. Lastly, there are portraits that can be equipped to any Kyoku in your party. These portraits are functionally equivalent to any other gear you would find in RPG games, except instead of, say, a weapon and an armor slot, it's all condensed into one equipment slot. Every portrait boosts your Kyoku's base stats, which the size of the boost it gives is increased through increasing the portrait's ascension levels. Just like with Kyoku, ascension is increased for a portrait by obtaining multiple copies of the same portrait. Additionally, and most importantly, every portrait has a unique bonus that can be upgraded with its own unique materials. Progression is very straightforward once it's been explained to you at least one time. The main route of progression is through the main quest tab. Here is where you access and progress through your windows into memory, which are just the fancy name to give to chapters or groups of stages. Every main window into memory has flashback stages, battle stages, exploration stages, boss stages, extra stages, and bonus stages. The game itself does a good enough job explaining these, so I won't dwell on it. Outside of very few exceptions, every window into memory is 3 floors, each capped off with an area boss, and the final floor has a boss battle with a witch. Every first time stage clear gives you 30 gems, with each completion of an entire window into memory giving you 300 gems. This tab on the left is where your mem sparks go once you collect them, and these here episodes are snippets of the story taken straight from the original Madoka story. If you have already watched Madoka, and if you haven't you should, it's great and it's short, you can literally just load these up and immediately skip them to collect your free 10 gems. I promise you won't miss out on any of the cool news stuff they added, because all the original news stories they added are found elsewhere, like in events. Honestly, the main story itself is not difficult at all until around window number 10, the Mermaid Witch. Just stick to it until you hit a roadblock and then go level and grind for a little while and then get back to sweeping. Eventually, after progressing enough into the main story, you gain access to Battler mode, which is just the same windows into memory, but with only battle and exploration points and juiced up enemies. Be sure to actually go out of your way to do these every so often, because they hold some of the best portraits in the whole game so far. Outside of the main story, you eventually unlock your upgrade quests, as well as events and heart file quests. Tower just released very recently, and I personally say you should ignore it until you beat the main story. I explained upgrade quests in the leveling section, but here's a better place to mention how once you beat any upgrade quest for the first time, then you can simply spend stamina en masse to skip the fighting entirely and just directly convert stamina into materials. Heart file quests are both similar and different. Instead of random peons, you fight one of the witches you've already beaten, but once you beat them again, you'll gain heart file progress for all of the girls you have on your team. Just like with upgrade quests, once you beat them the first time, you can just skip, but you only have 5 heart file plays per day, so make sure you're using them on the highest level which you can. Event quests function slightly differently than heart file quests in that you only get 5 plays per day just like with heart files, but events follow a linear quest progression and feature original stories created just for the game, so they're actually worth watching the story entries for. You get 5 plays per event, by the way, not just overall. Completing event quests rewards you with tokens specific to that event that can be traded for various rewards that depend on the event itself, usually just a couple portraits and different upgrade materials. If you miss out on a limited time event, there are certain ways to obtain an archive ticket in the game that'll let you go back and re-unlock them. Just know that this will turn the tokens you would have earned into archive tokens, which is not the original loot pool of the event itself while it was active. Also, don't forget that just because an event reaches difficulty that blocks progression for you, that doesn't mean that you can't simply repeat one of the stages you've already completed for extra tokens. Repeating stages will cost you one of your 5 daily plays, but losing an event stage refunds the play tokens, so go ahead and try the highest difficulty that you can. That essentially covers everything outside of battling, but what about battling? Well, it's honestly pretty intuitively designed, and the tutorial does cover most of it, but it does fail to explain everything. Firstly, on screen is an element chart that shows what each element is weak to, although this isn't insanely useful since enemies will always show their weaknesses anyway. Secondly, you don't have to wait for it to be your turn to queue up an ultimate attack. You can click the special attack icon on one of your units at any time regardless of whose turn it currently is, friend or foe. It'll simply queue the attack for the very next turn. Keep this in mind for encounters with lots of mobs and especially witch battles. Getting hit does increase the MP gauge and might just top off one of your ultimate attacks. Also, if you didn't know, you can queue up multiple ultimates in a row. You aren't forced to click and use each one before the other. Third, go to your settings and turn on action values. It doesn't make a substantial difference in your strategy, but there's no harm in having more information when the UI in this game is so straightforward. Fourth, it's a good idea to make a team of Kioku separate from your main team that specializes specifically in sweeping through the small battles in the main story. If you want my take on a good ad clear team, here's mine. Based on my experiences, the best ad clear teams are composed of at least one area attack breaker, a support buffer, and 2 area attack attackers. Essentially, you're going to try to stack as much area attack damage and buffs as possible in order to nuke the multiple weak enemies on the field quickly. Bonus points if you're able to stack Kioku like Homer and Madoka who have follow-up attacks. That essentially sums up my entire guide for Madoka Magica Magia Exedra. This is my first attempt ever at making a guide-style video, and I hope that it didn't come across too sloppy. I've always had somewhat of a passion for helping people learn the ins and outs of various different subjects, whether it be video games or real-life related topics. I hope you walked away from this video having learned something, and feel free to check out my other videos, though I can't promise that any of them will be particularly high quality, especially in comparison to something like this one. Feedback and interaction is super important to a very small creator like me, so feel free to spark discussion in the comments and just be honest with me in general. I hope I get to see you out there in this game, whether it's through the Union system or through player battles. I'll catch you all in the next one.